Welcome to the New Indian Debate. This is our first debate at our platform, which we launched recently. Sadly, we are beginning our debate on the killings that happened in Kashmir yesterday. 3 people were killed by terrorists, one among them a well-known Kashmiri Pandit and a pharmacist, Makhan Lal Bindu. It's one of the several terror attacks that have happened in the last few months in Kashmir, where not just a Kashmiri Pandit, but other civilians have also been killed. We will begin this debate with several panelists who are on board right now. We have amongst us Dr. Nirmal Singh, who was earlier a Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. We have Junaid Mattu, who is the current mayor of Srinagar city and a leader of Apni Party. We also have with us Dr. Ajit Rangu, the chairman of Panun Kashmir. We will have one more guest who will be joining us shortly, but I'm going to take you to Srinagar, where we have our reporter Rohan Dua connecting with us and giving us an update of what has happened in Srinagar since yesterday. We may not be able to connect with Rohan, but what we have is one of the most viral videos of Makhan Lal Bindru's daughter, Shraddha Bindru, who spoke very fearlessly, and also fiercely about her father's killing. She challenged the terrorists who killed her father yesterday in his shop in Srinagar, in the heart of the city. We will also show you the video of a Golgappe wala who was killed by terrorists just a few blocks away in Srinagar city.
Started from zero level. My father started from a bicycle. My brother, he's a famous diabetologist. My mother, she sits on the shop, a female lady. That is what Makhan Lal Bindru made us. A Kashmiri Pandit, he will never die. You can just kill the body. And I, being a Hindu, I have read Quran. And Quran says कि ये जो चोला है, ये शरीर का जो चोला है, ये तो बदल जाएगा, लेकिन जो इंसान का स्पिरिट है, उसका जज्बा है, वो कहीं नहीं जाएगा. Makhan Lal Bindru will be alive in the spirit. And Mister, who shot my father dead while he was working, if you have the guts and courage, come in front and have a debate, have a face-to-face debate with us. Then we'll see what you are. जब एक वर्ड भी बोलना नहीं आएगा ना, करके ऐसे बैठ जाओगे ना, तब समझ आएगा. सिर्फ पत्थर ही मार सकते हो और पीछे से गोलियां ही चला सकते हो तुम लोग. क्या करोगे? एक शरीर उड़ा दिया ना तुमने. उस शरीर ने जिनको पैदा किया है ना, वो मैं हूँ. ये हूँ मैं, मेरे बाप की बेटी. आजा सामने. इतनी आ मेरे सामने और मेरे से बात कर. मैं मक्खन हिंदू.
वाईफाई दे चलो बंद.
This was Shraddha Bindru, daughter of Makhan Lal Bindru, making a very strong statement there, challenging the terrorist who shot dead her father, and quoting from Quran and pointing it out to those people who use, or in fact, in the name of Islam, kill innocent civilians like Makhan Lal Bindru. The video has sent shock across the country. The video has also triggered massive outrage across the state and in the rest of the country as well. We are also seeing a lot of commentary on social media from people across the world condemning this particular killing. So I'm going to start with Dr. Nirmal Singh, who's been Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Singh, ever since the nullification of Article 370, we've been hearing that Jammu and Kashmir has changed. We've also been hearing that violence has gone down. We've been also hearing that there have been massive counterinsurgency operations. But looking at the violence today, in which 3 people were killed yesterday, can we say that Kashmir situation has changed and it has changed towards normalcy?
First of all, I pay my homage to the martyrs who have been killed by the senseless Pakistani terrorists. And I was listening to Miss Shraddha. This is the spirit which will defeat such elements in Kashmir. That's for sure. Because they can't kill India. They can't kill Indian spirit in Kashmir. This is fact. But we see that these people, they are very much desperate. Pakistan has been isolated in the whole of the world, not only in this Western world or in Southeast Asia, even in the Middle East also. Nobody is with Pakistan. So Pakistan's isolation is forcing Pakistan to push such terrorists to Jammu and Kashmir to kill innocents so that they show their presence here. That's the desperation of Pakistan. Moreover, what I see is that the so-called mainstream parties leaders in Jammu and Kashmir, for example, only yesterday, Umar Abdullah was drawing parallel between Kashmir and Lakhimpur. And on the other hand, his father was praising the Taliban, that the Taliban are going to give a very good government as per the Sharia in the Islamic rule. So they were appreciating the Taliban. And same things are happening here because in Afghanistan, the people, the minorities are being killed, Hindus, Sikhs, even women, pregnant women are being killed. All the people, even Afghans, they are being killed there. Muslim Afghans are being killed there. So same is the case here. Mehbooba is saying that the people in Kashmir are not allowed to go to the mosque. And so they are spreading disinformation campaign. They are inciting this communal this fever here, atmosphere, they are creating communalism here. So that these are the reasons which are encouraging such elements to kill innocent people. So that's the tragedy of Kashmir. That's the tragedy of Kashmir.
Let me ask Dr. Srangu. Dr. Srangu, there's been a talk about the return and rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pandits. Do you think Makhanlal Bindru was killed precisely for that reason?
See, we have been saying it repeatedly. Even the killings, selective killings, which have taken place during last more than a year, around 8 killings, they have a continuity. They are basically genocidal killings. There is a very inherent message under these. I mean, they are not crime acts. They are not also merely terror acts. They are more than that. It's a war form which we are facing, whether it has sanction of Islam or not, which we call as a jihadi war form. They want to destroy the presence of the other, total presence of the other within a society. They want to destroy the pluralism. They want to create a monolith. And it's this type of war which has, during last 1 year, tried to communicate its presence through selective killings of the Kashmiri Pandits who had chosen to live there and who were trying to again somehow create some normalcy in their life. So Bindru's killing is a continuity. It's a genocidal killing. And it's being said, genocide experts have said if genocide is ignored, it duplicates, it spills over, it spreads. I'm worried that the developments in Pakistan, in Afghanistan particularly, after the takeover of Taliban, there is a possibility of far more diffuse killings and violence in Kashmir Valley. And I would like to take this opportunity of trying to tell the government that let them not create the delusions of normalcy. Normalcy is still far away in Kashmir, and they have to think about it. And that this time we can have this. These spate of selective killings have been there. They have an inherent message, but it can graduate now towards more say diffuse killings like massacres, as we have witnessed in Vandama, we have witnessed in Nadimarg. And this is the time where the most vulnerable segments of society in Kashmir Valley, they are taken care of at this time, because that will be one more disaster to happen. And I'm sure that government would take notice of what we have been telling them. And so far as Bindru's killing is, it's extremely gives us a lot of sorrow, and then makes us to ultimately go through the cycles of the same experience which we have gone many times. We have undergone many times. I'm also sure that we are gradually entering into an era where uh, dissenting Muslims also will be subjected to the same fate with more frequency, with more ruthlessness. So there is a task at hand, and we all will condemn it. But the point is that sometimes we try to trivialize the situation, and we try to create a specter of normalcy where there is no normalcy. The jihadi forces, I do not call them terror forces. The jihadi forces are operating on the ground, and they have an objective. And after whatever has happened in Afghanistan, a part of their battle has been accomplished on that side, and a new war form, or perhaps a new thrust, will now start on this side. Ghazwa Hind, which has been going on for quite some time, will perhaps attain a new intensity unless it is challenged and destroyed decisively.
Junaid, I think Dr. Trangu has made a very pertinent point that the government should create no illusion of normalcy in Kashmir. Would you agree with that? Would you say that Kashmir is yet to be normal, even as the government has been going around saying that a lot of tourists are coming in? There's been a lot of activity in Srinagar city. We have also seen some positive indicators in Kashmir in the last few months. But with these recent killings, and in fact, this is not the first Kashmiri Pandit killing this year, we've seen other killings as well. Would you say that Kashmir is going from bad to worse?
You know, normalcy, especially in the context of Kashmir, Aarti, you know, this is a very complicated term. It's anything but black and white. And the best way for normalcy to evolve in a strife-torn place like Kashmir is for it to evolve organically. We have a tendency uh, to try and synthesize normalcy, to try and make normalcy event-based or optic-based. And while that might have optical appeals, at times it does more harm than good because it gives you a false sense of respite, a false sense of safety, and a false sense of relief. I won't question the statistics of the government. I won't question if a narrative is being made that things have improved. Uh, but I would also stick my neck out and say that the challenges in Kashmir are very real. We cannot treat the slogan of normalcy in Kashmir as a political slogan. It's far more complicated than that. Dr. Chungru said that there will be a time when dissenting Muslims will also face that. They have, 30, 40, 30, 28, 30,000 Kashmiri Muslims, a lot of them in the J&K police, a lot of them innocent civilians have been gunned down by a bullet that has come from Pakistan. and that's a huge number. So it has already happened. It's not that this can happen. People like me, I have a habit of sticking my neck out and making no bones about stating facts I wear my conviction on my sleeve. People like me live in a constant, constant threat to our lives, and it seems like it's just a matter of when somebody chooses to attack you. That's what hangs in the balance. But I believe um, that we have to hope for a better future, a better tomorrow. This is, without an iota of doubt, a very heartbreaking day. I broke down when I went to see the Bindru family. Uh, Makhanlal Bindru was a very good friend of my father. I have grown up, seeing him sitting in that shop, and I have grown up knowing what he means to the society. So it is a very sad day for Kashmir. And I think we're all guilty. We're all guilty. Our so-called Kashmir experts, our, opinion makers, everybody is guilty of trying to synthesize an opinion about Kashmir without actually understanding the complexity of the very real challenges that we face on the ground. And this is one such challenge. Doctor, you spoke about Afghanistan dynamic. That is a real challenge. Another challenge is radicalism. You have to speak about it. Another challenge is, the reality is that a traditional mainstream has not always unequivocally condemned murders. If somebody is killed from a bullet that comes from Pakistan, our response has been quite different traditionally uh, than being equivocal. Being unequivocal. So I think, to answer your question, Arti, um, are things returning to normalcy? Depends on who you ask. Ask the family of Makalal Bindru, that's an obvious answer you will get. You ask the family of that Golgappa wala, I don't think we can dare ask them that question. So apart from statistics, apart from hashtags, apart from events and optics, I hope that the powers that be, that all of us realize that the challenges in Kashmir are very real. All law and order challenges, they are also societal challenges, they are political challenges, and
Let me get
they need to be acknowledged. The seriousness of the challenges needs to be acknowledged.
Let me get David Devidas, who has joined us right now. Uh, David Devidas is an author of two books on Kashmir, which are very insightful and a must read. David, we've been discussing the killings that happened in Kashmir yesterday. Junaid Mattu, you heard Dr. Sanghu once again repeated that this is continuity of genocide of Kashmiri Pandits in the valley. I think it's very important to note down here that Makhanlal Bindu, who was killed yesterday in his shop in the heart of the city in Srinagar, was one of the few hundred Kashmiri Pandits who stayed back in 1990 and did not leave the valley. He also commanded a lot of respect in Srinagar. He was a helpful person. He was known for his kindness and compassion. But today, his family is heartbroken. It's grieved, and there is a certain sense of insecurity. What does it really indicate? Why are Kashmiri Pandits being targeted over and over again?
Aarti, it's not just Kashmiri Pandits. Remember, 3 persons were killed yesterday, including a migrant from another part of the country who was relatively poor, working there in downtown in Haval, not far from the heart of the old city. More important, Mr. Bindru was killed at Iqbal Park. We failed to point out, I haven't seen this pointed out elsewhere. This is 1 kilometer from the most important cross section, Jahangir Chowk, in the center of Srinagar. It's the equivalent of IFCO Chowk in Gurgaon. Right beside Jahangir Chowk is the High Court, and beyond that is the Secretariat. That these killings are happening all over. A Kashmiri Muslim was killed in the north. A person from another part of the country was killed in Haval, and Mr. Bindru was killed here. This
would you say-
is. This
Let me-
reminds me, Aarti, this reminds me of the situation in 89, 90. I remember when I went in 88, I was sent there by the magazine I worked for then to write an article on Pashmina. But I ended up also writing a piece, although my editor said everything is normal, everything is fine. And this comes back to what we are hearing over the last few months and years, that things are getting better all the time. But at that time, I insisted on writing that piece, which said that lava is building, things are getting, people are very angry, and this will explode. Now, things, of course, happened from outside as well. It was General Ziaul Haq set things off in 87, 88. He was killed, of course, in the middle of 88, but the ISI carried it on. Now we face a far more challenging international scenario, with Pakistan on the one hand having taken over Afghanistan, to put no finer point on it, and on the other hand, China sitting across our borders right from Ladakh to Arunachal and building up war preparations in a very, very extraordinary way that has not been ever seen before, this kind of preparations. In 1990, I went in late February to Kashmir, and I made several trips to, you know, that I was the first to write about what the horrors that Kashmiri Pandits were going through, the terror in which many of them had begun to migrate already. Starting in January and February 1990, I went several times to Haba Kadal, met with the leaders of the community, going by auto. I remember writing at that time that the government is, in a sense, and I use this word, flailing around like in a fog, with no hold on the situation on the ground. And the government actually didn't dare come beyond the radio station. You know, from Gupkar and Sonwar to the mini secretariat and the radio station, there was no government beyond that. I used to go around in autos and taking help from
So David,
journalists there.
let me interrupt
Yes.
here. So you are equating 2021 situation in Kashmir with 89-90. That sounds pretty grave, and that also.
No, all I'm saying is that it reminds me of that. It's not yet there. No, not at all. The government is very much there. It's very much in charge. There is a lot happening, but
But
the
does it also
insecurity, the
But does it
insecurity
also-
is
does
something
it
that
also
reminds me.
Does it also indicate that pro-India voices in Kashmir remain the most vulnerable target?
Of course. And that has been the case for the longest time. Remember, a lot of mainstream politicians were killed in the 1990s too. And that has been happening over the past couple of years. This, in fact, is something that I'm sure your other participants have pointed this out. Over the past couple of years, there have been targeted killings of Pandits and others who have been part of the political process, who have been panches or sarpanches, who have been elected, who have gone into the political, adopted a political role. But Mr. Bindru is someone who was killed evidently just for being a member of a certain community or not being a member of a certain community. This is something that is very, very startling, very, very upsetting. And this is what I'm saying reminds me of the sort of insecurity that had come about in 89, 90. And we therefore, all I'm saying is, it's not that the government has ceased to be in charge or be on the ground, but we need to take this extremely seriously, particularly in light of the international scenario.
Dr. Singh, what I understand from this discussion so far is that one, the situation in Afghanistan since the takeover by Taliban, also the fact that Pakistan army is in control of Afghanistan situation because Taliban is a proxy and a support, they draw a lot of support from Pakistan army. The second issue what I really gathered from this discussion is that Kashmiri Pandits are getting selectively targeted primarily for their identity. But do you think that it's also because the government has been thinking about their return and rehabilitation?
Aarti, first of all, I'll say that killing of ML Bindru is a part of genocide killings which the terrorists, Pakistani sponsored terrorists, they are resorting to. This is fact because uh, they are professing a particular philosophy, religious philosophy, and not only there's Kashmiri Pandits, even other nationalist Muslims also. In South Kashmir, you have seen that Javed Dar has been killed. There's Rakesh Pandita was killed. Similarly, that Dawabala, that young man who was Hindu, who was there, he was also killed. And that's a part of that whole this war, which is a proxy war. They are resorting to, and definitely there's the developments in Pakistan are going to impact Kashmir also, because Pakistan will definitely use those Talibans and Talibani terrorists to push it in the Kashmir Valley. But we must also go into the roots also, because this situation, when we discuss about the normalcy or no normalcy, we must understand that it took 70 years to reach this situation. What type of ideology was being professed, political ideology was professed here, and this soft separatism, that was there, that was the thinking, that was the political philosophy which was being even pleaded, that supported by so-called mainstream parties also. After 5th August 2019, the central government, it has taken a step to integrate Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of India with an objective that the Kashmiris think that whether they are Muslims and other people, they think that we are 100% Indians. Earlier, they were not they were at the crossroad. They were not knowing whether they are Indians, they are Kashmiris, they are who are there, and the terrorists, the Pakistani elements, as well as the so-called mainstream parties also, they were pleading this ideology. They were just spreading this the political ideology that you are, though you are Indians, but you are not 100% Indians. You are special. So that was the root cause of the separatism here, which ultimately took the shape of jihadi terrorism, and it gave this Pakistan opportunity to fish in the troubled water. But still we see that the same people, they are again trying to incite people communally, saying that the Muslims are not allowed, they are not able to say azan in mosque, and they are again trying to, you can say, raise any issue which puts question mark on India, on Indian government, Indian nation.
Let me get in Dr. Sranghu. Dr. Sranghu, where do you think is the government going wrong? Do you think that there is a certain lack of either understanding or lack of action that the government should be taking, or perhaps talking to the right people within Kashmir and outside Kashmir, for example in Jammu, where most of the displaced Kashmiri Pandit community is based today? Where do you think is the government going wrong?
See, there are multiple areas, but if broadly I have to speak in points with regard to the violence, what has to be recognized that it doesn't matter whether jihad has the sanction of Quran or not. It doesn't matter whether jihad is being, the type of jihad which we are seeing is being pursued by all Muslims or not. The type of violence, it's a distinct jihadi war form. Government of India recognizes it as mere terrorism. And that's why they are not able to evolve comprehensive policies. Terrorism is just a small arm of this jihadi war form. So till now, I don't think the strategic fraternity of India, the academia of India, and at the same time, the political leadership of India has recognized that this is the type of war form which we are dealing in J&K. This is the first thing I want to say. That's why they are going wrong. They are trying to treat it as mere terrorism, and most of the times as a local law and order problem. Number one. Number two, Government of India has not abandoned halfway separatism as a strategic perspective for J&K state. So they are still in search of halfway separatists to deal with the problem. Number three, Government of India has not made peace as a dividend for development in J&K state. They still think that development, wherever there is violence, violence can be neutralized by pumping in more money to those segments or to that area. They have not as yet made peace in the areas of J&K state as a dividend, as a priority for development in those areas. Last but not the least, Government of India, as Professor Nirmal Singh has said, that he as a leader, I'm happy that he says that it's a genocide. Government of India, while banning Jamaat Islami, has recognized that JKLF and Jamaat Islami, when they banned them, they have pointed out it is a genocide. It was a genocide perpetrated by JKLF against the Hindus, but they have not as yet recognized it formally. Kashmiri Hindu problem cannot be addressed unless its basic content is recognized. And I'm telling you that it's not only for the Kashmiri Pandits. Since it was ignored, this violence spilled over to rest of India, and we'll be having multiple such things happening elsewhere also. I think these four things Government of India has not addressed or has not changed so far, or is in the process of changing, perhaps not saying it publicly. I want to say the last thing, which is very important. Government of India has not explained to the world, to the people of India, and they have not explained it to the people of Kashmir, that why Article 370 was removed. Article 370 was removed because it was creating a Muslim state on the territory of India. It was becoming a basis for creation of a Muslim state on the territory of India. It was basically a liberating act. They have connected it with development. They have connected it with progress. It was fundamental contradiction in the nation building of India, which Article 370 or the special status of J&K had created. If they would have gone and very clearly explained and engaged the entire spectrum of opinion, opposing opinion on this issue, perhaps would be able to position the changes which have taken place in J&K state in the proper perspective.
All right, Junaid, it was very thoughtful of Dr. Tirangu to also point out that Indian nationalist Muslims in Kashmir are also vulnerable targets, and also have been killed. And you also pointed out something which was quite insightful, that not many people come on the streets of Kashmir to condemn the killings like that of Makhalal Bindu or the person, I think, I don't remember the name of the person, but the other Kashmiri who was killed yesterday was a Muslim. Not many people have come out in protest against these killings. Why? Why does that happen? Why don't people come out?
No, Aarti, I think that is unfair. I think we have seen the funeral of the probationer DSP, the probationer inspector Ashad. Thousands of people. We've seen thousands of people attend these funerals. I went to the funeral of Bindu Sahab, thronged by the local community. I'll tell you something. या तो देखो आती हमें सच बोलना है और we have to lie. आप ट्रेडिशनल मेन स्ट्रीम की और उनकी कॉन्ट्रडिक्शंस की बात करते हैं. इट्स गुड. डॉक्टर निर्मल सिंह यहाँ बैठे हैं, बहुत सीनियर लीडर हैं, मैं इनकी बहुत इज्जत करता हूँ. Our traditional mainstream is as pampered and as much a beneficiary of state largesse as they were 5 years ago, even more. अगर यहाँ पे जिंदा रहने का किसी को हक है, वो या फारूक अब्दुल्ला के खानदान को है या महबूबा मुफ्ती के खानदान को है. डॉक्टर निर्मल सिंह भी डिप्टी सीएम है, जितनी उनकी सिक्योरिटी है मुझे नहीं लगता इनकी 1/10 होगी उसकी. So there are inherent contradictions in our system. They get away with those contradictions. दूसरी आप बात कर रहे हैं कि why don't people protest? There has been very mediocre leadership, mainstream leadership in Kashmir. Very mediocre self-seeking leadership, traditional leadership. Uh, you have to demonstrate leadership. You have to come out and stand for what is right. A lot of people today called me and said that, the fire was still warm. अभी तो cremation हो रही थी और आपने announce कर दिया कि मक्खनलाल बिंद्रू साहब के नाम पे एक सड़क का हम नाम रखेंगे. We have to do these things. Otherwise, we go back to 89. We have to stand up at the right moment, stand up unequivocally. But then the fact is that somewhere the state is still mollycoddling and pampering the two families which have destroyed us. I don't know why they are doing this. They continue to do that. They continue to pamper them. But I really think that we need to do one thing. We need to understand that in the last 4 or 5 months, most of the killings of innocent civilians were those of Kashmiri Muslims too. Mostly people who stood up for the idea of India in the mainstream. We have to be very careful in our narrative not to have this sense of othering of a martyr if he's a Muslim or a martyr if he's a Hindu or if a martyr if he's a Sikh. That is very dangerous. I'll also stick my neck out to talk about the policing situation. 3 civilians have been killed. 2 civilians in Srinagar have been killed. David said that it is, 500 meters from this. This place is 50 meters or 60 meters or 100 meters from the SP office, from Shergadi, from one of the biggest army installations in near Hachinar. And Lal Bazar is also the heart of the city. अब प्रॉब्लम ये है, हमारी तो ज़बान खो गई है. Somebody with an IPS or an IAS knows everything about Srinagar. There are human intelligence failures, and for God's sake, give a non-IAS, non-IPS person an equal right to complain and raise a red flag and say that there are police failures that are happening. I'll talk about Srinagar. I'm the mayor of Srinagar. I'm telling you there are policing failures. There is a systemic failure somewhere, and heads need to roll. It is not a routine matter that Makhanlal Bindru was killed despite intelligence inputs. Inputs were specific enough that Kashmiri Pandit pharmacists will be targeted. How many Kashmiri Pandit pharmacists do we have? 3 or 4? ये तो एक हफ्ते पहले input था, 10 दिन पहले input था. Makhanlal Bindru's wife asked me that the inputs were there, could a barricade have been placed there? So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to ask these questions, Aarti. We
I
are
will,
undergoing a bureaucratic, and that's fine. We are undergoing a bureaucratic rule. Dr. Nirmal Singh is a politician. हमारी जात तो एक ही है. जबान कितनी देर बंद रखेंगे? क्यों? Why were 2 civilians killed in the heart of Srinagar? Can I not ask that question from my establishment?
Bilkul. David, I'm going to ask you the last question. One, Junaid and you yourself have pointed out that there was an intelligence failure. What is happening in Kashmir? Why is the administration, or why is there an intelligence failure? What does the government really need to do at this stage?
Aarti, I'm really sorry. I want to, before David, my friend, comes in, I'll stick my neck out again because you're othering local officers. The most nationalist Kashmiri Muslim officers who have fought insurgency, who have risked their lives, who have eliminated hundreds of militants, you are othering them. You are humiliating them. You are belittling them. Human intelligence of J&K police used to be #1 in the country. But now you have created a system that anybody with an IPS, he comes from somewhere, doesn't know the topography, the
Well-
geography of Srinagar, but he knows everything about Srinagar all of a sudden. You are
Let's
local
have-
Muslim officers of J&K police.
Let's have the last word. Let's have the last word from
The
David.
floor
David,
or
David, are you there?
Yeah.
David,
a
are you there?
little
I think there is some connection issue with David's internet. David, are you there? I think it's a connection issue. Well, I think we finally have arrived at a few conclusions we can easily make. One, of course, is that there was an intelligence failure. Second, I think it's very clear that Pakistan certainly feels far more emboldened than before, ever since the US withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan and takeover by Taliban in Afghanistan. Third, of course, that Kashmiri Pandits continue to be the targets in Kashmir, perhaps because there has been a talk about the return and rehabilitation of the community which was ethnically cleansed in 1990 by Pakistan-sponsored jihadi terrorism. And on that note, I am going to end this discussion. We will come back for another round of discussion, hopefully on a better issue and not such a sad tragedy that occurred in Kashmir yesterday. Thank you. Thank you for being with us at the New Indian. Thanks.
Thank you. Sir. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.